Hey everyone, my name's Christian. I'm 36 years old and I'm a trans man. I live in Los Angeles, California. I know there's a lot of videos out there, everybody discussing how they knew they're trans, but I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my story. Now, I grew up a really conservative little Mormon kid from Orange County, and I was really sheltered, and I actually didn't really discover being trans. I was actually told by my girlfriend at the time when I was living as a lesbian that she thought I was trans. She was bisexual and very sexually fluid. And she was like, I really don't feel like I'm with a girl. Like, I feel like I'm dating a guy. When I'm with you, I feel like we're having sex, like a guy and a girl have sex. I really think you're trans. And what did I do? Like what everybody else does. They Google things when they don't know what they're doing. They don't know the information. So I Googled what is transgender and what that meant and how that fit me. Now, back in the day, I'm 36. I was 23 when I transitioned. There weren't a lot of people, online, and there weren't like a lot of wonderful examples of what transgender was in the media or anything like that. So what I did is when I Googled it, there were YouTube videos of different types of trans people on talk shows. And I saw a guy named Lando, and, I felt like I really connected to his story. Now, growing up the way I did, I wasn't, let's look at me being a kid. So when I was a kid, I remember a distinct memory of being in the tub and really just wanting to have facial hair and using the bubbles to make the facial hair. When I get out of the tub, when nobody was in the room, I tried pee standing up, and of course made a mess everywhere. But I felt like that's what I was supposed to do. It's not like I saw my brothers or sisters doing it, but for some reason that's what I wanted to do. I didn't want to have a towel up to my chest because that just didn't seem like it fit me. I wanted to wear the towel around my waist. But, my family, obviously my mom wanted me to be modest growing up in a Mormon household, and that just didn't work. Going to church, I wore dresses and did everything like that, but it just never connected. I never connected with it. I just felt like, I was always in the wrong body. I didn't understand it, and I just didn't get why this was happening to me. I didn't want to be a Girl Scout. I always wanted to be in the Boy Scouts. I always connected more with the guys on my block, and just felt like I thought more like, the guys I played with and things like that. I played sports all my life. I was always very active. Now, not to say that makes you trans or anything like that. There's many, girls that are masculine, have masculine sides and feminine sides, and that doesn't make you trans. It's a connectedness to your body and your soul. I was a tomboy. I didn't like being called a boy, even though I was bullied a lot because I was more like a guy in elementary school. But, it was just, I didn't know how to accept myself, and I just wanted to fit in a mold, and I didn't want to be different. But I always felt different ever since I was really young. So, as time went on, I let my parents know that I was trans. Prior to that, I was so afraid that they would disown me, and it was one of those decisions I had to make, whether I was going to keep leading a double life, living as Christian and also living as my birth name with my family. Fortunately, when I told my family I was trans, they weren't very happy about it. They really thought they didn't, partly because they just didn't want me to have a hard life. But, they thought that it was because, I was abused as a kid. And unfortunately, a lot of LGBTQ people get abused, I think, because abusers know that we're different. We know that we feel different and that something isn't right. We don't fit the traditional mold. And I think that's my personal belief of why I think sometimes that happens. So, as my mom blamed me being trans on being abused, I saw a gender therapist, and the gender therapist said, no, I really don't think the abuse did it. And part of the reason is when puberty hit and I didn't feel connected to my chest, I didn't always disdain it, but I always tried to cover it up. It just didn't feel a part of me. I would bind before I knew what even binding was. I'd wear sports bras. I didn't ever want to have regular bras to accentuate my chest. I just didn't like it. I didn't feel connected to it. I didn't like fat being on my hips. I didn't like having a feminine body. I wanted to be muscular, and I, wanted to look more male. I was always, masculine and kind of, quote unquote butch or whatever you want to call it. And, like when I would be called sir in public, even before I ever transitioned, I loved it. There are times I was with my dad, people call me sir. He didn't like it. He's like, that's my daughter. But I did. I secretly did inside, and didn't know that the word transgender was a part of it. Now, like, as I decided to transition and let my family know, I was willing to be, in order for me to be my authentic self, I was like, I'm willing to lose my family. I'm willing to lose my friends. I need to be who I am. I'm tired of living this lie. Because once you know the truth, it's really hard to go backwards, And so there's, like I was saying earlier, you can be butch, you can be feminine and be cisgendered and still, identify as the gender you were born in. I never did. One of my distinct memories as a kid was I always dreamed about being a husband, being a father. I never wanted to be a mom. I always wanted to be a dad. I wanted to, play sports with my kids. I wanted to be a father figure, and when I decided to start taking hormones, I still wasn't sure. I had gone to groups at my local, at the Orange County and LA County Gay and Lesbian Center, and I met other people who were just like me. And I saw their success with, top surgery and everything like that. And I wanted that. I wanted that body. I couldn't stand the body I was in. When I was 17, I was suicidal. I didn't really know what was going on and was sent to boarding school. And there they were like, you need to accept being a girl. You are a girl. You got to learn how to accept it. I wore skirts. They wouldn't let me cut my hair and things like that. And as traumatic as it was good for me to heal the parts of myself that were victimized, as a young child. And I healed that. So I know, that's another reason I know that I'm trans, and it's not just, victim mentality, I guess. And when I saw my gender therapist, she said, when Christian went through puberty, he stayed consistent. He's consistently presenting as male. He's consistently not liked his chest. He's consistently wanted things that traditional men would want. And people who have identity issues due to abuse, usually, or not usually, the people with identity issues due to abuse are because it's not consistent. And I stayed consistent. So she did believe I was transgender. It's a big decision to make in your life. And I was lucky that, I started going slowly. I wasn't able to get on hormones the proper way because I was on my parents' insurance and they weren't going to support it or pay for it. And, I started hormones illegally. Now, I won't recommend that with anybody, but back in the day, when I was 23, I'm 36 now. So over 10 years ago, trans people were teaching the doctors about hormones. And so I got hormones from a friend. I started slowly. I honestly wasn't sure if I wanted to transition or not. I was afraid. There's a lot of fear there, but I wanted to have facial hair. I wanted a deeper voice. I wanted all those things. So that kind of should have been a sign that if I stopped, I would still have those things, that I still wanted them anyway. I always wanted to look male and present male and be a man. Now, it's a big decision to make, and I, don't make it lightly. Boys go through puberty and it takes years for them to get facial hair. It took me like 7 years. And it takes time for your body to react to the hormones and get everything good with that. So take your time, go to therapy, transition slowly, let your body handle the hormones. When I started taking testosterone, I calmed down. I felt more comfortable in my body. I still had the dysphoria, but for some reason, when the testosterone's in my system, I've just been calmer. I didn't have these huge rage attacks that other people have talked about. I just felt much better. You can be masculine and be a woman. You can be feminine and be a guy and not be trans. You really have to think, is this the body that I was supposed to be in? And take your time. Take your time to accept that this is what you have. And then, when I had my top surgery, I didn't like what I had. I would been binding for years and years, but when it was finally gone, I just felt better. Like I said, go to gender therapists, go to groups, meet other people. Don't make the decision lightly. See if there's any issues that could be, making you want this decision. But it's important to be authentic to yourself, to surround yourself with people you love, and your life does get better. My life got better, and I've had, other issues on the side, which I'll talk to you later about on the channel. But, being my authentic self, I'm not sure about a lot of things, but I'm sure about this one thing. I hope you have a great day. I hope you guys are staying safe during COVID. Any questions you have, I'm an open book. I've been through a lot of stuff, and I just want to try to put another perspective out there. So just know that you are enough, you are loved, and there are people who will accept you. Thank you. Bye.